Hello, everyone. I got an email today that had the numbers 177013 in it, and it felt like a premonition, so I figured it would be in today's stream title. That's why today's stream is titled Live Action 177013, because today today is a rant on live action movies. And I'm surprised that 177013 did not get a live action form of it. Now, what's interesting about the live action meta at the moment is that it seems like every movie becomes live action in some way. It's interesting because you have tons and tons of these movies constantly coming out now, and they seem to be changing the story to the point where it's not even good necessarily. What's interesting is that the latest one, Lilo and Stitch, is apparently even worse than that. It misses the whole point of the story, which is like, families staying together. Apparently, at some point, like Lilo just gets like Lilo gets sent to like an orphanage or something, and I'm like, I don't like the whole point of the movie and the whole point of the thing was to sort of show that family needs to stick together, right? And the whole point of the alien being there was that the alien was supposed to learn what is family, and it was supposed to learn like, okay, like what does it mean to truly be happy in life, and like not just a weapon, right? Because it was finally free from its chains of being a weapon. Interestingly, they've decided to take the movie and go an entirely different route, and I don't really know why they did that. Because you would genuinely you would believe that they understood, like when you make an adaptation of something, you would believe that they would understand the point of what it is that they're making. You would believe that they would understand at least the underlying tune of it, right? But I don't think any of these live action movies ever do. The Lion King was like terrible. Actually, that movie was awful. There's also a new How to Train Your Dragon live action that's coming out as well. And that one seems awful, because How to Train Your Dragon, like the one of the biggest appeals of it was that it was just like this weird, funny little sort of lighthearted movie about barbarians or like Vikings learning how to live with a dragon. Like it was interesting in that light, and I thought it was a very fascinating sort of take because it was such a lighthearted idea of this like trope of the monster tamer, right? And then the live action seems to be going for a much more grittier tale of heroics and a much more grittier tale of like I don't know how to say this. Like it seems to be going for a much more grittier tale where actions and consequences and sort of like the underlying state of the world sort of comes to life and the focus is away from the dragon and it's more on the people. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit about the people. And this is true of like most of these kids movies is that it's not just about the people, but it's about the interactions between these different characters and these fictional characters like Stitch and stuff. Hello chat. Like Stitch and the dragon from How to Train Your Dragon. They're there as a foil to the people for them to like talk to and to bounce off of. You gave up on DDO? Was it because you were banned for talking and constantly sharding in the live chat, or because you seem to be constantly sharding within the global chat? You represented me there, and you represented me poorly. But welcome to the live action 177013 wish list or rant. I'm not really sure. Like, whenever a movie goes into live action from animated, I always think to myself, it loses something in the process because the people who are going live action, they're so much more focused on going live action than they are necessarily about making the movie again. And the problem is that it makes sense because let's say you make the movie again. What's the point of making the live action? There is no point. And so you sort of wonder to yourself, well, what do they have to do? To make them want to do it, they have to change it. But will they change it knowing what it is that made it so special? I don't think so, right? Like, very few people could do a Peter Jackson, where Peter Jackson did Lord of the Rings dirty, but in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, the series is very different from the movie series, has like a lot of different points from the book, but it's also accurate enough that it still flows exactly as you would expect, and it's a masterpiece in and of its own right that works. Like, and there's one Peter Jackson for however many of these live action movies there are. And so, now we're just constantly going through this and dealing with this problem where, you have all this like cruft getting in the way of the main parts of the story because What they have to do to change it is they need to change the things around the story in order to try to inject their own flow into it, right? So when you make a live action movie and you're like a director who's making a live action movie, you have to change all the stuff around it in order to try and inject your own presence into it, because if you don't, then what's the point of your movie? The problem is that they don't understand that everything in the movie up till that point is all in support of what you see with the message of the movie. Because especially in animation, like for an animated movie, you don't have wasted frames. I think this is the thing that like really sucks, is that even for like a film thing, you wouldn't have wasted frames, but for some reason B-roll is like, it feels like a more common practice within live action movies, whereas in animated movies, like B-roll shots feel very far and few between, and it feels weird because you would expect it to be the opposite, where it's like easier to do with fake things than real things, but it's because when it just feels like, at least with animated movies, they focus a lot on the core message of what it is that they're trying to say. So everything that you see within, like, say, Lilo and Stitch is built to support that. And then the live action movie just kind of throws away bits and pieces and changes the story. And it's like, okay, well, what's the point? Like, what's the point of this whole story of, like, you know, you guys stick together and stuff like that? And it's weird. I don't know. The UX is unbearable in both gameplay and UI. You know what? You're not wrong. It is an older game, but yeah, you know what? You're not wrong. It's an older game, and it's definitely like an acquired taste. But it's in a way, I'm glad that you're no longer playing. You in particular, I'm actually glad that you're no longer playing. You were an incredibly bad representative of the stream. I've now learned which one of you can represent the stream and which one of you can't. Some of you need to be locked within the box and put inside the like theater audience. Some of you are allowed to be on stage making the jokes. Like some of you will grab the mic and like say something incredibly bad, and then it's like, okay, well this all goes downhill from here. But yeah, the one live action that I am waiting for is for the Metamorphosis manga, because it would be more bearable than Lilo and Stitch live action, Lion King live action. What other Disney live actions are there? They're all shit. Every single one misses the point of the movies. Man, there's a lot of holy shit. There's a lot. Oh, the Mulan one was that was a disaster. Yeah, Snow White, Mulan, Little Mermaid. Okay, granted, those ones are a bit more tainted in the sense that like I don't know whether or not the negative press is solely because of the like weird sort of like this like weird sense of like, oh no, they've changed her skin color. Like it's not that serious, you know what I mean? But I have low faith within live actions anyway. So it's like I don't really get the point of like either way. To me, a live action movie is always going to be awful in some way. Like very few of them actually make me go, ah, yes, good. Like the Aladdin one I saw wasn't that good. It was like it was like compared to the original. I was like the original anime movie was way better. The live action was like, and all like it's strange because they didn't have to do any of this. It was just it's odd that they did any of these movies. They just kept on going with this idea of, and I think it's just because of the money or something. But every single one of them has basically flopped in terms of like, you know, what like the critical reception has been, and so I wonder why they keep doing it. Because it's not like they're older ones. Like they have really old live action movies. Let's see if I can even find like the old ones. Disney old live action. Here we go. They have like really old school ones that were pretty good. Like 101 Dalmatians was pretty good. That was a pretty fun movie to watch, you know. I can't remember what else. There was not Lady and the Tramp. I think that one was. I think at least to me the animated version was a lot better. Oh no, and that wasn't old. That was 2019. Wow, that feels like ages ago. Pinocchio had a live action in 2022. What the fuck? Why? Christopher Robin. Wasn't Christopher? Oh, actually, that one I still haven't watched. That was the one that I actually did want to watch because it seemed like an interesting take on the story. So, of the live actions, I thought Christopher Robin was the one that stuck out to me in terms of it should have been that as a concept. Like I've always wanted to watch it. I just didn't have time to when it first dropped. That movie took on the premise of Christopher Robin when he was an older person as an adult, and then his like and his like bear friend was sort of like lost, and he's trying to fit within the real world. Or maybe I've seen it, but I have like fragments of a memory of seeing it. So I don't know if I've seen it fully or if I've only like seen like trailers of it, but that to me was one of their best attempts at doing a style of live action movie, because it took characters from Winnie the Pooh and reimagined them within a whole different place and a whole different timeline, carrying on sort of like the natural consequences of what if this kid's movie was real, and what happens if that kid eventually grows up to not be a kid anymore and is now an adult, right? Like it's like, oh shit, what does Christopher Robin do now? And I thought that was a fantastic take on it. And I feel like either I've seen scenes from it or I've seen the movie. I remember crying to it, which is weird because you wouldn't cry to something that you would see within clips. But I remember crying to it in some way because like, damn, that kind of sucks. But yeah, movies like that for live action I think work fine, but everything else so far has been pretty bad. And then we're seeing just more and more of it come out, and I don't know why. Again, I have a very strong feeling that How to Train Your Dragon is going to be dog water, because it feels like again they're missing the point. But at the same time, it's like how can you make a live action without missing the point? Because otherwise, you just tell the actors to do exactly what the animation is, and what's the point of watching your movie when you can just watch the animation, which is cooler effects? Playing that game reminds you of playing an emulated mobile game on computer. I think you're over exaggerating, but also you're not wrong in some cases. Like, you're both over exaggerating for some things, which is fair because, you know, this is sort of like Twitch chat, and so you're allowed to over exaggerate. But I also think that you're correct in some aspects. The aiming with the bow felt very, very clunky, and the movement in the camera is sort of like, yeah, it's like really bad. Even in Dragon's Dogma 1, it was pretty bad. But I think you're over exaggerating, because I don't think you've ever played a mobile game on your computer before. Like, I don't think you've actually tried that. Like, genuinely, I think if you tried it, you would know that this game is significantly better. I think really the only thing that you can say about the game is that it's got a lot of dated designs, and the controls definitely aren't mapped well to a mouse and keyboard, but they're mapped really well to your controller. Like, it's a controller first game, and so it works very, very well. But if you've ever played a mobile game and you've ever tried to play even like the quote unquote top mobile games, both on your phone and on PC, you would know that you fully exaggerated, because those games are awful. Like, it's really bad. But yeah, that's what we're going to be going through today. It's interesting that you say that too, because it's actually better than what Dragon's Dogma 1 was. So Dragon's Dogma 2 feels like the ultimate streamlined version of Dragon's Dogma 1, but this game is even, I think DDON is even more streamlined than whatever Dragon's Dogma 1 is. Because Dragon's Dogma 1, the camera was really bad. Like, you could tell basically the entire game was just made for console. And then they just put it on PC as an afterthought, and I guess they didn't really expect a lot of people to like really go for it. Which makes sense, given that, you know, Japan in general is more of a console... Japan is more of a console space. So it's kind of hard to, I guess, like, go through it and then see that... And then try to play games on PC and then, like, play with them in a way that, like, you would enjoy. Like, it's all... I don't know how to say this, but basically... When you play games like this from this era, it's just sort of expected that it's going to feel awful, because it comes from that time when a lot of different things were done and nobody really had any clue what they were doing. But they didn't know what they were doing, not because, you know, they were bad at it, but because nobody knew what they were doing at the time. It's like, this is the early beginnings of what we're eventually going to see later on within Dragon's Dogma 2, when all of a sudden, you know, that game plus Monster Hunter has sort of like started to perfect what is the control scheme. What is the control scheme on a mouse and keyboard for an action RPG game, right? And this is sort of true, especially when you play games like Devil May Cry. If you've ever tried to play I think there's like, I'm pretty sure Devil May Cry 3 is on PC now. Isn't it on PC? Yeah, it is. It's one of the worst games I've ever played in my life, because the controls, and again, this is crazy, because when I played it, and even if you play it now, even on like a PS2 emulator on a real one, it's one of the best controlling games out there. It feels really good to play. But as soon as you go to PC, the mouse and keyboard controls, like, they fucked it up the entire thing, okay? It's just a reality that, like, I think, you know, with the older games, I would want to say for a very long time, nobody had any clue what they were doing, because, like, these genres were still so niche. The action, like, that style of action RPG gameplay was so niche that we didn't really have any other real metric of understanding for how it should feel like. I mean, even just go and play like Demon Souls to Elden Ring. It's like Demon Souls plays like shit compared to Elden Ring. It's so much. It feels so much weirdly clunkier on mouse and keyboard. But then Elden Ring really streamlines a lot of things, and even that game still has weird clunky bits too. Like it's strange how much better it's gotten over time, even though the concept is so simple. But it's only simple looking into it. Really trying to figure out how to execute it well. That's where the money is, and that's sort of like why DDON is interesting, because it both has those same terrible quirks that Final Fantasy 14, for instance, eventually patched out fully, but it's also better than the first game, which was sort of like that idea of you do take a port of a console game and you bring it to PC and it's awful. But genuinely, you're exaggerating when you say it's a mobile game. You've never played a mobile game on PC, and I can tell because you would never say that. Mobile games, when you play it on PC, is it's its own world of pain and suffering. Because even if it wasn't for the fact that it's touch controls, and so it's mostly via your mouse, the biggest problem with it is that you have to deal with this awful system of shit everywhere. It's like, how do I say this? Even if it wasn't because of the mouse controls, I think you'd have a much more terrible. I think you'd have a terrible time playing the game because of how fundamentally those games seek to control themselves. Because fundamentally, it's a lot of scrolling across a very small screen space. It's a lot of zoomed out gameplay, so your mouse movements get a lot more, get a lot less precise because you overall travel more distance, right? The games are sort of designed for this, especially when you look at professional. This is a weird thing to say. Professional mobile players, you see a lot of this element whereby when they play the game, their gameplay is incredibly fast and incredibly floaty in that they kind of fly across the entire board, right? But this also applies to like any other mobile game, like even like a simple match 3 game. There's a lot of movements of the mouse where you have to hold the button down at the same time, where it's like most PC games that you play, the left of the mouse button are dedicated to a tapping motion. Like, it's rare that you have to hold it down to move it. It's very odd, too, because, like, only in shooting games do you really have to hold it down as you move it. Most every other game is, like, you just tap it, right? And you tap it when you do it, but it because of that, you engage, like, a different muscle group. Like, it's weird how to... I don't know how to describe it, but holding a phone in your hand and touching with your fingers is way easier compared to whatever it is that you have to do with your mouse to hold and then drag at the same time. Like... when you actually play a mobile game on PC, you realize this is the worst experience in your entire life. It is so much worse than you could ever imagine. And all it takes is one experience for you to realize that Dragon's Dogma Online is significantly better than any mobile game that you play. Like, if mobile gamers got Dragon's Dogma Online on their phone, I think they'd be happier. Because genuinely, I don't think you could get any worse than whatever the baseline experience is. And it's not even like that experience could be is like universally awful, right? You have games like say Genshin Impact, which I think Genshin Impact is one of the few games that controls well on both platforms. It has really good mapping to PC controls. It has really good mapping to mobile controls. But you can see the various design decisions that sort of lend itself to a mobile first control, where it's like your movement doesn't have, like, it's very exact for your movements, and on WASD you move in like fairly large gaps when you press W, because on mobile you have like the like, the virtual joystick. You have the 4 skills because the game only has, because when you play on mobile you only have a number of like buttons that you can possibly press. It's why games like Diablo Immortal are like that too, where you have very limited anything to play with. Like, it's a very mobile first design as a whole, but in terms of how it plays basically like a native game. It's actually pretty impressive how well Genshin Impact plays across all multiple platforms. And it's weird because it's not like it's a guarantee that you do a game like that it'll play well, right? Infinity Nikki controls like shit on PC. It's such a weird feeling PC game that it controls like shit that it feels better on mobile as well as on controller. So yeah. I'm going to break down your arguments and just say that you have no clue what you're saying. Which is not a bad thing. it's not a bad thing. I just, let's just cut down on the hyperbole here, right? We don't need hyperbole. We're all capable of having an honest discussion about the game. I'm not defending the game because I know it is like an old game and it does suck in many different ways, but like, you know, it'd be nice to sort of like, I guess, like have a real discussion about it versus being like, oh yeah, it's an emulated mobile game. It's like, no man, you haven't even played a mobile game in your entire life on your PC. It's a whole different system. Anyways, enough shitting on you because I tend to shit on you a lot, but that's also because sometimes, honestly, you know what's funny is that people always get mad at me for shitting on them, but to me it's always like, well, you gotta do like you should do less things to make me not shit on you as much. Like it's like at some point it's like I don't know how to tell you this, but like you're living your life, like you're doing something wrong, man. Like I have a friend who they say the weirdest things and they say the darndest things and they continually do the worst possible things. And I'm like, why do you do this to yourself? And then I think to myself, it's because you can't help yourself. And then they get mad whenever people tell them like, hey man, like maybe maybe you weren't like happy at the moment. But then they never really but then, when we bring it up, it's like, oh, like they get really mad and like stuff like that. And I'm like, buddy, we wouldn't have to do this to you if you just like, were better at your life, man. And this is for something that like, they agree is a bad thing. Like they want us to do this type of intervention where it's like, hey, like I want you guys to come in and tell me that I'm being stupid because I know it's stupid, and we give them, and then they give us the reasons why it's stupid, and we're like, oh shit, this is really bad. How come you haven't told anyone? But then they get mad at it, and like, buddy, I don't know what to tell you, but it's like it's all up to you, man. Like you gotta get some, you gotta do something better, man. I don't know. Today, aside from the movie rant, because I just keep seeing these live action trailers. Again, How to Train Your Dragon, that's the craziest one. It seems awful. We're going to be going through some games today. The main one is Replicube. I'm not a part of whatever contest there is today. Apparently there was a contest at 10 a.m. PST. I don't give a fuck about contests, so I'm not doing that shit. But what's funny is that I accidentally planned everything on roughly the same timeline, which I didn't know. I'm not doing that shit. It's not that it's a bad thing, but the game is having like a cool little contest actually. So the game is having a cool contest where it's like, oh, can you blind speed solve like a creation that you've never seen before, and you have to get like the most efficient solves, and then the most like both the most efficient and accurate solves, and then there's a build battle where you make freeform art, and like that's a pretty cool contest. But I didn't realize I timed everything to the exact timing of it, and I didn't know because but I don't know, like they just posted the thing now, so I'm like, I don't know. It's not going to be that. Well, we're doing our own thing. I just want to take that game so slowly at my own pace, okay? But before that, we're going to be checking out this thing called Go, which is focused with your avatar. I don't know why it's called Go, and I have some opinions about the name, and it's interesting to see the name, but it seemed like a pretty interesting tool where it's a bit like a 3D scene creator, but you also go beyond that. You make an avatar and you build your home and stuff. It's a pretty neat space. I also want to remind people, Zootopia has a part 2 coming out soon. So Zootopia 2 is now an official thing. And there's something funny about the Zootopia 2 poster, because everyone's been talking about this naked snake. So basically, this snake that everyone sees for Zootopia 2, people have been saying, or like questioning, why is the snake naked? Because if you've ever seen Zootopia 1, that was like a major funny plot point of whatever the animal was, like that like Zen animal when he was just sort of there. I think he was meditating and he was like naked, and then what's her face, Judy, she was like, why are you naked? This snake is canonically naked within the world, right? I mean, if you think about it, every animal that you see in the wild is naked. Like it is. There's something funny about the fact that only humans wear clothes. Like it's like the emperor wears clothes, where it's not like the emperor wears clothes where he still wears clothing even when he becomes the llama dude. Like every animal that you see out there is naked. And Zootopia, sort of, because it's a world where the animals are the people, they had to wear clothing, but the snake is naked. So there's a lot of Rule 34 of the snake. Like there's a shit ton of art of the snake having sex with everyone else. It's crazy. It's like you get one trailer, you get like a couple frames of the snake, you get the poster, you get these images, and you get this entire view of the snake, like naked, having sex with people, wrapping around them, sucking off their dicks and stuff. Like, what the hell is going on, man? But yeah, I'm excited for this movie of all things. Somehow, somewhere within the Disney studio, they're still making good animated movies, and Zootopia was one of the better animated movies, especially as a somebody who has nephews and nieces, and sort of like has kids that they have to take to the movies sometimes. It was a good movie to watch. There's a lot of interesting sort of ideas in it. There's a lot of cool lessons in it, especially around sort of prejudice and why why you can't judge people just by the cover. Granted, it's a little contrived because like yes, in the wild she would be eaten by the fox. You know what I mean? Like it is kind of like it's a little contrived to build a society where like somehow everyone's able to live together. But that's also sort of the point of the story too, where it's like that contrivance is the same way that it is now. Like I could probably crush somebody and their whole family line in between my hands and like squish their head until their brain pops, right? Like I could just do that. But the reason why we don't do that is because we live in a society and we all agree within this society to live together, to take care of each other. Beastar is greater than Zootopia. You know what's crazy? I only recently found this out. So the creator Beastars thing, the creator of Beastars is the daughter of the guy who made Baki. I was like, what the fuck? She's the daughter of the guy who made Baki, which is this thing. You ever seen Baki? This thing is insane. Baki Demon Back. I don't know, Baki Demon Back, sure. Or yeah, here we go. Look at that man's arms. Look at what's happened to him. Everybody is like a jacked monster. Every single person. There's a scene where like Baki's father comes in and then tries to watch his son have sex or something. Like this person. Okay, now that I say that, it makes sense why his daughter made Beastars, because Beastars has that one Beastars sex scene. I think that was it. Yeah, like these scenes with like the very bodacious animals, like the very very bodacious animals. This all makes sense now as to why this happened. You know, because it's in the same family line. I wanna be in that family. I want to be in that family, and I want to know what is going on in that family. I want to get to know them. I want to talk to them and like ask them things and be like, "Hey, why did you look?" Okay, look at the Wikipedia. Read this. Read this with me. Look at the Wikipedia of the daughter. She later attended Musashino Art University, creating doujinshi that she would sell at doujinshi conventions. Doujinshi is sort of like self-published stuff, but it's funny because like it doesn't really tell you what the doujinshi is, like, because doujinshi could be anything. It could be hentai, it could be normal shit. But given what she eventually made within Beastars, it's probably hentai. So, and then after being unable to find a job in the film industry, she submitted her doujinshi to editors at the publishing company, which began publishing a short story collection, Beast Complex, which goes to show that she just sent in the hentai to this random company. You don't think it was hentai? Okay, well maybe it's not, but I feel like there's something there. There's something there that is hilarious about how she sends in this, and then we see what Beastars is with the rabbit getting undressed and stuff, and then it's like, boom, okay, we like this, you're getting a TV show. You think it was stories in the same universe? Maybe we can find it and read it some, but that's in the future, I'm gonna watch. Okay, so basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna watch Zootopia first, and then I'm gonna watch Beastars. If I watch Beastars first and then Zootopia, I'm gonna have this like warped perception of Zootopia, where I'm like, how come she's not taking off her clothes? So I need to be careful about which one I do first. But again, crazy connection to say that she is the daughter of the guy who made Baki, which is crazy. Used to be on Mangadex, but you're not sure if it survived the purge. Oh yeah, because Mangadex, yeah. So a lot of the third-party manga sites, they recently went through a massive purge where all the various things that they used to have for free had disappeared, because I think it's just a reality that you can't pirate things for very long, and if you pirate things for a long time, you will be shut down. But let's say you pirate things for a very long time, some of them even decide to join the game, and so they purge it themselves, and then they give official links as like a partnership link, which is sort of, it's, you either become official or you die, right? It's a bit like Faku. Like Faku used to not be official, and then they became official through years of pirating. So it's just a reality that any manga or hentai site is going to go through the same process. Any site that pirates anything is just eventually going to become a legit thing because you can't continually do that and survive. Like you can't survive off of good vibes alone forever. At some point, the good vibes will fall apart. But that's why I'm here to bring the good vibes back. I have a song for you all today. Two songs actually. One before Go, and one after Go. These songs, I think, are fantastic songs. Although it's interesting because what I showed you last time was more ballady and melodic, but like a more modern take with like a fairly traditional bend. These ones are a bit more interesting in that they've got a lot more, I guess, like very modern elements. Like this is basically Vietnamese hip hop, but like a very modern take on Vietnamese hip hop, where I think the old school style it still does exist, but this is sort of like the modern day style that we're seeing from a lot of artists where the hip hop it's not just sort of the melody rap. It's almost like that kind of blend that you would see from things like it's I don't know how to say this without sounding narcissistic because I'm not comparing this directly to the greatness of what the album was, but it's like imagine any major hip hop artist that you hear today, and imagine just how good their stuff sounds and how well they blend so many different genres into one go that almost goes into spoken word territory, but it's almost like a singing element to it too, but not quite. And that's sort of what you kind of get with this artist here, right? T-Lin. It's interesting because she got really popular, I think, fairly recently, within the last like 2 or 3 years, and she's been staying popular. And then there's another artist, Hootie something, that he also got popular as well, but he represents sort of like the more old school style, where it's like you have this separate rap sections versus like this interesting combined, almost R&B style. It's much more closer to R&B than it is to like straight up rapping, but it has elements of it all that sort of shows just how fluid music is, right? Like the reality of it is that constraining yourself to a genre is strange because all of music is very, very fluid and it flows very, very well together to form this very interesting soundscape that has a lot of complex elements that interplay and interweave very, very well. What's interesting about her music too, and especially with her singing, is that she takes a lot of liberties when she speaks the language in order to meld it into the flow of the song. Like it's one of the more interesting takes on the language and how you speak it, because she basically detones the tonal language, which is a very interesting take on it as a whole, because in many ways it can be almost difficult to listen to her and understand what she's saying, especially when you're used to the tones. Like if you're very used to hearing the tones, it can be very, very hard. Like if you're from the South, and you have like a particular bend on the tones, you might be very used to it. Whereas if you're from the North, it's like you have a different bend to the tone, and so you might be used to that. I don't think either or could really understand this very, very well. It's surprisingly very, very toneless in many different ways, but at the same time, it's used to great effect to make everything flow and feel very interesting. Again, it's a fascinating style of song, and I hope that you do enjoy it. Just it might take a while for like if you know the language to get used to it, but it's a very catchy song, and at least for that, I think it's fun to sort of listen to. And really, that's true of all of her songs. Today is 2 of her songs actually, so please enjoy. That song has so many weird elements to it. One, it's a very catchy song when you listen to it. 2, there's a lot of English mixed in throughout the entire song. It's a very interesting use of English too, because it's sort of like it's not sensical English. It's like a lot of it is just sort of like it sounds cool and it's just sort of bits and pieces here and there. A lot of it is sort of very similar to how K-pop sort of uses English. Like let's say like there's like a before and after Super Shy, right? Before and after Super Shy of like English users, or maybe even like before and after Blackpink, let's say, right? I would say like that style of English that you hear within the song, sort of like the before times when you would hear G Dragon and like T.O.P. say some like random shit in English, and they think it sounds cool, but they have no clue what the fuck it means. And so it's like, and so when it's mixed into the song, it's like it doesn't really make sense, but it's not the worst. It's not the worst take on it ever, because it still does sound good, and it sort of kind of fits with the song and what it's trying to say. However, of her songs, I think that's one of her weaker songs. I'll be playing you her better songs later in the day. as we switch games over into Replicube and as we end the day off as well. Because I think she has much better songs in her discography, but that's sort of like the beginnings of this style of sound that I want you to sort of get used to, right? Yeah, it's very K-pop vibes. Like it's what's interesting about saying that too is that I think it's true of all music, but I think people sort of forget just how globally influential certain genres of music are, right? Like, nobody knows Maracanawa. Everyone knows jazz. But also, nobody really knows jazz. Everybody really knows hip hop. You know what I mean? It's like, whatever has sort of like the most money and like attention on it gets the most sort of global push on it because we're so interconnected now, right? And so, whenever you hear a song that has K pop vibes, it totally makes sense because it's sort of like, that informs almost the landscape of what you hear, and that was itself informed by things taken from like hip hop and like R&B and stuff, and then and you just keep going back and back and back, and you sort of see this like whole sort of melting pot of different styles, right? And then you even see again various artists that I've showed you where they combine these different styles, but with their own sort of regional flares, right? Like I've even showed you Mono, who like combines different songs with like a very traditional bend to it, or like Buck Bling, where it's like you have the noises of the song, where it sounds like a very sort of typical, almost electro beat song, like an electronic pop song of some kind, but it has a very very traditional sort of Vietnamese country rural sound, right? If that makes sense, but like from a particular region even. Like it's pretty cool to see all these like styles and genres blend together to eventually result in what we hear within these songs. And I think what's interesting is that you can sort of see people get better and better at it, to where the hard seams where they try to blend it start to disappear. Because because this song is from maybe I think 3 to 4 years ago now, right? When you listen to her later work, those harsh seams that you hear between the different sort of styles of genres and the various influences start to fall off, and you eventually see it blend much more seamlessly to the point where you don't even notice when it happens. It's a bit like Kendrick Lamar, maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, when he would do songs and there'd be like a melody piece and like a rapping piece. Whereas like now you listen to his songs, and his one song with SZA, the like new one, it's really, really good because you don't even hear the seams. Like when you listen to Luther, you don't even hear the seams where it's like the hip hop side and then the melodic side. Like it's all just together. It's hip hop and R&B, and it has melody and it has spoken word. It's all into one thing, right? It's always fascinating to sort of see this journey within an artist's lifetime, to see them get better and better at that sort of like melding of their own styles, and even the expansion of their styles to sort of both adapt to something as well as incorporate it, as well as almost subsume it too. Like it's fascinating to sort of see how many different ways these styles will interact, and sort of like what gets sort of like pushed where. All this to say, music is very fascinating, and it's very difficult to listen to certain songs, and that song in particular has a lot of like, especially for the language that's being used, it's like really hard to get a sense of the words that she's saying, and it's got a lot of different elements going on to it. So it's even like a complex song just to be able to listen to, even if you know the lyrics, like even if you know the language, it's pretty difficult to sort of like parse through it. But when you do, it's a very fun it's a very fun sounding song. It sounds very cool, and it vibes well. Just a lot of single ladies, like a lot of single ladies, yeah. I was like, yeah, single ladies, yeah. We're gonna move on now. We're gonna go into Go, but we're gonna go into Go. We're gonna go into Go. Focus with your avatar. I don't really know how to describe this other than it's basically like if you took. It's like if you. How do I say this? It's like if you took Warudo and you made a real game out of it, or you took VR chat and you made it a Warudo type thing without any VR. But it's also like you wanted to be a VTuber with the least amount of possible effort. But you also wanted an idle game that could help you focus on what you do, and you hated that one where you build your own computer room. So this is sort of everything all in one, basically. Just give me a second though. I need to set things up and also wash my hands, because my hands, I accidentally spilled some water on it. But also it's not water, it's Sprite. So I accidentally spilled some Sprite. Just give me a second. You pick up a can of soda and you never really know if it's empty until you slosh it around and all of a sudden you get water all over the place. We're moving on to Go right now. I'll be back in just a moment. I'm gonna go to the washroom, okay? But in the meantime, I'm also going to play a song for you all. As I said before, today has a fair number of songs that you're going to be hearing. But it's a little playlist that I've sort of set up to show you like a progression of someone's journey through like R&B and hip hop within the Vietnamese space that I think actually ends up being very interesting to listen to. Same artist as the song that I showed you before, which I think you'll all really enjoy. The interesting part again is about these songs that the first one I showed you is actually not my favorite song. This one is actually one of their more well-known ones, and this one is probably the one that is the most popular in terms of like why people like it and like what the sound is. But also, to me, it sounds like the much better song. Like it's like this song feels like they really understood how to meld, how to mesh together their various styles into a very effective composition, right? If that makes sense. Like everything works together and nothing feels discordant, and it ends up sounding amazing when you do listen to it. This song, again, same artist. She has a bunch of songs out there, and her most recent songs have gotten even better than this IMO. But that's also sort of like my biased opinion on this type of music that I think, I just think that it's gotten better and better over time. And just listen to this. When you listen to a song, I just listen to the song. Sorry, I'm like all over the place today. Focus on how you can't really hear the seams between these various different styles, right? Focus on how you can just hear the song as it is, and there's no jarring break between, like the style that you hear with like the R&B and like the singing and like the hip hop. Like it's all blended together in like a very smooth fashion, almost like a smoothie, or like a paste or like a sauce of some kind. And it just works so well. Please enjoy as I go to the washroom. That song, compared to the first song, it's like night and day in terms of how much better it is, right? You can see the progression of their skill level and their understanding of their own style and what they want to go for from the song that I showed you before we started Go, and then this song here, Go and this P, -1. This song in particular, it flows so much better. There's a lot less hard seams between these various disparate styles, and you can really tell that the artist almost feels a lot more confident in sort of being able to bring out these like particular sounds, if that makes sense. Like it's like, I don't know how to describe it well, but it's that feeling of they feel like they're in control of what it is that they want to do, and they know. The reason why they feel confident and in control is because they know, and they're able to execute on their style so well now compared to what it was before. The production on the song is also significantly better, and production is always sort of interesting because like the production of a song gets better the more money you have, because it actually takes a lot of effort to make a song sound good. Because like it's those little details that you don't really notice, right? But it's when the song like has those soft moments in the backing track, to when it sort of starts to overwhelm, to how it's mixed with her voice, to how her voice sounds like, to how the effects are like played, and nothing ever feels overused. Everything feels like it's the right amount to get the right feeling within the song. That makes you go, the production and the mixing on the song is way better than the one that I showed you earlier. So again, fantastic song, fantastic artist. Highly recommend that you give her like a full listen on a full discography. She has a lot of collabs with like other Vietnamese artists too, so it's sort of a fascinating space with her music there, and I really enjoy what she's doing. We're gonna move on now into Replicube. We're going to keep this in the background, and I don't know how well this is going to go, but we're gonna try to use this. We're gonna use this as a Pomodoro timer because I'm curious to see what exactly is the effect when you use this as a Pomodoro timer in the background. So, if I'm correct, hide this. We do this. Maybe we can show it as a window. So this is now a window, and the game is going to be the one on top. And we're going to see how this works, but basically every time I need to show this, I'll just maximize it, and we'll see if it'll show up in the front, and we'll see how this... Because I have no clue what's going to happen if we run this at the same time with Replicube, and then I don't even know what exactly the Pomodoro timer is really going to feel like, but let's give it a shot. If the point of this is to help you is to like kind of give you like a weird mixed purpose of a focus tool and like an idle game. Let's actually do it with a game that in itself is sort of like a directed programming exercise in some way. So give me a moment to set things up. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye, and thank you for showing up, and thank you for joining in today's streams. It's always fun to play this stuff, and it's always fun to hang out, but programming streams are always sort of complicated to do because I'm never really in the mood to do them, and it's hard to get that conversational aspect of a programming stream down. Like it's very hard to have a conversation as you're doing a programming stream. IQ is a social construct. Very true. Remember, check out Go if you want to make your own Goon Cave. It's actually a very interesting system to have here. I still don't get the point of a Pomodoro, nor do I get the point of the break time within a Pomodoro, especially when you're going through like a certain problem. Like the Pomodoro thing, I really don't know the point of a Pomodoro because isn't the break time always inconvenient in some way? But this whole thing as a concept, really cool. Replicube as a concept, really cool. Using them in tandem, pretty funny. Honestly, this is pretty good. God, this poster is so good. Arnold Holt. Chat, you can't lie. This poster is amazing. I think this poster is a fantastic poster. And there's something funny about the fact that it's just Animal Crossing. Like, it is an Animal Crossing poster where the Animal Crossing character is, like, ridiculously, like, sexy for some reason. And then it's just this idea of, like, sexualized art. Like, it's such a strange thing to see and to read. Like, there's just something funny about this whole setup. And there's something amazing about the fact that this game lets you do all of this. And then combining with other things if you're careful enough with things like lighting and then, you know, green screen stuff to make it work. What the hell? Don't worry about what you're seeing. You don't need to know what you're seeing here. You don't need to know what you're seeing here. Thanks for showing up, everyone. Tomorrow, I think I'm back again, but maybe not. I have to check with my wife in just a bit. I'll let you know. I will let you all know in Discord if I will be back tomorrow. Usually Mondays are reserved for my wife, but I think she's busy this week, so we might have to push it to like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or even like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We have no clue. I'll let you know whenever that is. Again, if you want to join me in Dragon's Dogma Online, please do. It's a fun game, despite what people will tell you. Yes, it's kind of dated in some ways, but it still plays very, very well. And I enjoy the gameplay loop, even if it is complicated to get into. You know, I find it fun. Like, I think it's actually pretty fun. And I think that, you know, everybody here would actually stand to enjoy it to a large degree. But I get what you mean by the game does feel dated. Good stream, boss. Thank you. I have one song left for all of you to play, actually. What's interesting about the link to this song, it's just me. It's just, this chat says it's just me, the one who joined. So the sharding scholar who wanted to be who wanted to be named the sharding charlatan, which is a great name, okay? Says it's just me. I promise it's good. Go play it, chat. I don't know if that's true, but at the same time, if you don't want to play it, that's fine. I just want you to know, when you play it, you have to be ready for the fact that you will never be able to find another MMO like it ever again. It's going to spoil games for you for a very, very long time. The same way that Dragon's Dogma 1 spoiled games for me for a while. The same way that Dragon's Dogma 2 spoiled games for me for a while. And the same way that, like, you know, Elden Ring, you know, to some degree did as well. Even though I never finished any of those games except for Dragon's Dogma 1. This next song that I have for you is by the same artist again. This one is probably not their... This one's interesting in that I don't think it's their best one. But it's sort of like the in-between of the first song that you heard today. As well as the last song that I showed you just a moment ago, which is, to me, their best song. At least so far in terms of their discography, in terms of how well they've sort of mastered their art, right? It's interesting to sort of see this progression, and this song really shows it, where you can begin to see how they got to where they did with the last song that I showed you of theirs. And I think this song still stands very, very well. But you know, in its own way, it's just, you really can't beat the improvements within their latest release. And there's something interesting about that, because we sort of forget how difficult these things are until somebody does it, and we go, wow. Like, and you see the actual improvements that people go through, and you see just how good it all is. And it makes you wonder to yourself and realize that maybe you're not as good as you think you are in life. Maybe you're not as good at the things that you think you are in life. And that, maybe you'll never get to that level. But you know what? At least people put it online on YouTube Music and stuff for you to listen to, and you can enjoy it, and you sort of like turn your brain off and just listen to it and just have fun with it. I know where I'm going with this. Today has made me feel certain things. Anyways, look at this poster as you listen to the song. When the song ends, I'm going to leave. Bye, everyone. Have a good day. See you all tomorrow or something, maybe. I don't know. Today, I was just extra tired, so I wanted to go for like a slower stream. And I knew I'd be tired when I posted the stream announcement, but I'm really tired today. Tomorrow will be a very different day in terms of vibe, because we got to finish some different games, too. I know I said I would leave right after the song, but hearing this song helped me figure out how to describe today of all days. Everybody wants to be good at something, and it's that drive and that desire to want to be good at something that results in beautiful works of art like this. And I know it's frustrating, and I know it sucks, and I know it hurts to be aware of how bad you are at something now, but if you don't give up and you just keep on trying, you will get there eventually. It's all about the effort that you put in. Mind you, meaningful effort. You do have to be careful about how you spend your effort. You might be spending it in the wrong place, so do take account of that. But if you spend your effort, you will reap some rewards. And at some point, you too could make something like this. And this artist, very much the same way. They never stopped, They kept on making their songs until they eventually made this and their last song, which is sort of the pinnacle of the peak of their artistry as of this moment. And next year it'll be better, and next year on. Also, that music video was 4 minutes of the dude inside the car waving to himself inside the rearview mirror, and that's funny to me because that's just, I want you to know, that's what every TikTok streamer looks like when they're doing TikTok streaming. It's just somebody in their car waving their arms around just for nobody, parked in the parking lot somewhere. Goodbye, everyone. Have a good night. See you, I don't know when. I don't know. I'm not happy anymore.